Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taxes Simplified with AOTAX, a podcast series where we try to talk about US taxes and make them seem a little less like a mystery novel while we're in conversation with an expert from the AOTAX team. I'm Tejaswini, your host, and still an average filer just like you, trying to decode taxes one episode at a time. Today, we're going to be in conversation with Muzaffar from the AOTAX team, and we're going to discuss Form 1040 and the key schedules.
And I'm Muzaffar from AOTAX, your co-host and tax translator, someone who has seen more 1040s than coffee cups.
And that's saying something because, honestly, Form 1040 sounds so scary, like something out of a spy novel or something. Agent 1040, your mission is to make people panic before April.
If only, but no, 1040 is just the main tax return form. Think of it like a tax summary of your full financial year.
Okay, that sounds way less dramatic. And I must say, walking into this episode today, I feel a lot more clearer about when taxes are.
Yeah, that's great. Especially once you got the cake last episode, right?
I sure did.
Yeah, so this one you're gonna love. So let's just get straight into it.
Okay, so let's start in the most simplest manner possible. Tell us what Form 1040 means for an Indian filer. Hearing about it for the first time, I mean, you already took us through it just now, but from a tax expert sort of point of view.
So Form 1040 is basically, like I mentioned, it's an annual tax return form. It has sections to it. So it tells you all the incomes you've made in the year, all the deductions you qualify for, all the credits you qualify for. And then at the end, you figure out if you are in a refund position or a no position.
All right, so it's basically the summary of everything sort of form.
It's like the cover story. And all the other forms like W-2s and 1099s are like the supplemental forms to it.
So let's make it a little visual for our viewers. If I had Form 1040 in front of me right now, what would I see across it?
So there are three sections to it mainly. First is your personal information. It has your names, address, and dependent details. Then there's a section related to incomes, what all incomes you have made throughout the year. Then there's a sections to figure out what are your tax and your credits, and then you figure out the remaining.
And then the most exciting part, the refunds.
At the end of the tax form, you get to decide if you are going to be dancing away to the refund or paying the whole amount.
Cool. So now that we've talked about the form, let's get into something that confuses everybody. I know it's a very intimidating term, the schedules. Every time I hear it, I just imagine a huge spreadsheet spread out across in my head. Very complicated.
So it's not that scary once you get to understand it. Think of them like a little bit of supplemental add-ons. They're only applicable when there's some additional income or certain deductions. Let me just put this out for you, right? Let's talk about Schedule A first. Schedule A is for itemized deductions. This applies only when you have something called mortgage interest, you have any type of charitable contributions, any state and local taxes you've paid. Only then it comes to picture. Then there is Schedule B. Schedule B is for interest and dividends. Usually people in US or in India like to keep money in banks. And at the end of the year, the bank gives out an interest statement or a dividend statement, depending on which type, that reports in that Schedule B. And coming to Schedule C, it's for self-employment people, but also gig workers. People who are doing Lyft, Uber, and these odd jobs. Right? They can report their income, total, the tips they have received, and also the applicable expenses they've done. Right? And then you have Schedule D. This is majorly for capital gains. This relates to stocks. Somebody investing in stock markets or cryptocurrencies, that's when that comes into the picture. Then you come to Schedule E. Schedule E is basically for rental properties, something we Indians are very famous for. We like to buy properties and then rent them out, right?
Yeah.
This is the most common one because a lot of them will rent out the property, and then when it comes to reporting it, it's reported on Schedule E. And similarly, Schedule SE is for people who are regularly doing self-employment and not dependent on a traditional type of employment.
Right, so term SE stands for that. Right, okay, that makes sense. So in essence, from what I understand, these are more or less like supplemental forms to the 1040 form, correct? And asked for whenever any additional details might be required.
That's exactly right. So if you are a salaried professional with just a W-2, you won't see half of them. But in Indian community, there's a lot of rental real estate involved, and hence some of these schedules are pretty common in most of the taxes we file.
Let's bring it a little closer to home. How does this form get a little trickier for Indian filers in the US?
Good question. A few key points. One is your foreign income, especially when you have rental properties in India or any investment options in India, then you might have to report them here. You also have financial account reporting or global account reporting, wherein if you're maintaining any financial accounts in India, then they might have to be reported here under FBAR and FATCA. Then you have to talk about dual reporting. You also have to report these accounts in Indian tax system as well, right? And then lastly, stock options. A lot of Indians in US invest into stocks, and hence these schedules come in handy.
So for Indians, this form can more or less act like a bridge between two very different financial worlds of sorts.
That's what makes the Indian situation unique. You're trying to balance both the worlds and making sure you're compliant in both the tax systems.
Muzaffar, be honest, does every filer need to know about this, or is it like my accountant handle this sort of situation?
So it's okay to have an expert, but understanding your 1040 or 1040, as it is known, it gives you control.
Right, so it's more so about confidence beyond just compliance.
Exactly. That's a nice analogy. At AOTAX, we always say it's your income, your story. Just the 1040 helps you tell it right.
That's thanks. So let's quickly do a lightning round of sorts. What should our listeners remember from today?
All right, a few key things. 1040 is your annual tax summary. It reports all the incomes, deductions, credits that are applicable. Schedules 1 through SE are all just add-on documents, only taken whenever they're applicable. Understanding the 1040 gives you more confidence, gives you more control.
And that's all we're about. Clarity with confidence. If you're listening to this and thinking, I've never really had a look at my 1040, I'll just sign it. This time, maybe open it, check it out. You'll learn a lot about your own tax story.
And if you ever need any help with those lines or schedules that you're not able to understand, AOTAX is always here to help.
Thank you, Muzaffar, for being our tax advisor yet again. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. In the next episode, we're going to be discussing taxes for the self-employed and gig workers and why they're not as scary as they sound. Till then, make sure you follow us because there's a lot more in store for you all. Stay tuned. Make sure you catch the next episode of Taxes Simplified with AOTAX, where we're going to be discussing taxes for the self-employed and gig workers. The episode goes live on December 16th.